بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In my humble opinion, this is my suggestion to you, choose a scholar who's living your life, in your land, in your culture and society. In my humble opinion, I feel very passionately about this. One of the biggest problems of all of these movements, and that has caused Islam to not spread as well as it should, was that we outsourced our fatwas to back home. For some of us it's Egypt, for others it's Pakistan, for a large group here it's Saudi Arabia, as if only those scholars are the ones who know our situation. But the fact of the matter is that those people, with all respect to them, they're great for their societies. They know their societies. But you cannot get a fatwa about living in a secular democracy from somebody who's never lived in a secular democracy. You cannot get a fatwa about how to interact with your homosexual neighbor when a person has never met a person who's a homosexual in his life. There has to be a human element, experience. Wisdom, most of it comes from life, not from books. Take this as a rule of thumb. Most wisdom comes from living and not from reading books. You see the reality of what you're saying and you say, no, that can't be right. So in my humble opinion, my advice to you, look local, find ulama, and there are ulama, alhamdulillah. There are scholars here in Detroit, there's so many alims. Go to people in other communities, but look to people who are living here. And I want to tell you one anecdote, one story. That there is a scholar who's becoming very famous, and I don't mind telling his name. His name is Shaykh al-Fawzaan. He's the nephew of the famous al-Fawzaan. And he lived in America for 5-6 years. And then he went back, and I met him in England once when I was visiting. And I told him this point, Shaykh, that you need to understand that we really do need to insource our fatawa and not outsource them. And he told me, yeah, Yasir, you're absolutely right. I lived in America for 6 years, and in those 6 years, I myself changed so many fatwa I used to give the first year compared to my 6th year when I was there. I said, Sheikh, this is you after having lived in America for 6 years. How about me having been born and raised here and hearing a fatwa and know this fatwa is ridiculous for my people? In 6 years, if you can change, and you are, mashallah, tabarakallah, such a great scholar, such a great alim, and he is, wallah, he's a great alim. In 6 years, living in the people, he realized, I can't give the same fatwa anymore. I said, Sheikh, how about us? We live in the land. We know our people. In my humble opinion, brothers and sisters, you should not log on to the internet and go for fatwa search engines in other lands. Go to your local community alims. Go to people that have studied and trained in Al-Azhar, in Medina, in Timbuktu, in Jamia bin Nouriya, wherever they might be. But they're people of your own kith and kin. They're people of your land. Come over here. The example here is that you have your house and you call an interior decorator from the island of Waki Waki to come and, make your house look good. And this person is going to bring in some sand beach, some desert shells, some here and there. You're going to say, this is not the way I decorate my house, but you call the wrong interior decorator. Don't blame anybody but yourself. Bring in somebody who knows your culture, who knows your civilization. And it is well known, Ibn al-Qayyim and others, they say, half of giving the fatwa is to know the context of the fatwa you're giving. Half of the fiqh is to know the context of the fatwa. This is half of ilm. And the fact of the matter, when you outsource, they don't have the context. So this is the fourth point. Don't outsource to Bangalore or to Timbuktu or to Saudi Arabia. Find people who are understanding your own situation. And the final point, be tolerant of opinions that come from respected authorities. Look at what they've done for the ummah. And if they have a track record of bringing khair and good to the ummah, and they have a track record of upholding the sharia, even if you disagree with some of their points of view, respect them for who they are. I want to be very frank here. There is an alim that I disagree with on so many issues, but wallahi, as Allah is my witness, I consider this alim to be one of our fundamental marji's, one of our main people we look up to, and that is Shaykh Yusuf al-Qardawi. I don't agree with much of what he says in terms of his modern fiqh, but wallahi, I admire the guy as a towering intellectual genius, as somebody who understands the sharia and its applicability in modern times. He might not be on the same wavelength as me in certain issues, but as an alim, I don't think anybody can rival that type of scholarship. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, wa la nuzakki ala Allahi ahada. But I'm trying to give you a practical example that even if I disagree with him, I respect him immensely. And I want all of you to respect Islamic scholarship and realize Islam is above any one group, any one scholar. It's above Qardawi, it's above Kibar al-Ulama, it's above Saudi Arabia, it's above anybody. And people have differed from the time of the Sahaba, and they will continue to differ. Your job, find the alim or the ulama you feel comfortable with and stick with that alim and be tolerant of opinions that come from esteemed scholars. These are the 5 points I want to reiterate. Number 1, that we need to learn that which is changing and that which cannot change. Number 2, we follow ijma', the scholarly consensus. Number 3, always realize there's going to be a group of scholars that are a little bit more forward-thinking, a little bit more controversial. Number 4, look locally. Don't outsource back home. And number 5, be tolerant even if you don't agree.
فضيلة الشيخ وفقكم الله، هذا سائل من أمريكا يقول في أمريكا عندنا شخص دائما ما يقول بأن العلماء في هذه البلاد لا يعرفون أحوال المسلمين في أمريكا، فمن أجل ذلك لا نقبل فتواهم، ويكرر هذا. ما نصيحتكم في ذلك وما توجيهكم؟
يعلمون العلم الذي أنزله الله ويفتون بالحلال والحرام، والحلال والحرام في أمريكا وفي غيرها في كل الأرض. الحرام حرام في كل مكان، والحلال حلال في كل مكان. والعالم يفتي أهل الدنيا بالعلم النافع، وهذا تخذيل. اللي يقول الكلام هذا تخذيل، ويريد أن يفصلكم عن علمائكم. نعم، فلا تقبلوا من هذا الكلام. نعم.